tattooed across my chest is tell me that I can't, and I'll show you that I can.
Welcome to Bitch Talk. I'm your host, Erin.
And I'm co-host Ange, aka Captain Party.
2026 brings us into our 13th year of podcasting, and we're proud to be here. Thank you to our followers and longtime listeners for voting us Best of the Bay Best Podcast for 3 years in a row, and to SF Film for adding us to the respected list of Essential SF winners.
If this is your first time listening, where the hell have you been? But better late than never. We're like if the rap group Salt and Peppa met the show Grace and Frankie and had a baby. And if you don't understand what that means, ask Jeeves. And now, on with the show. Clink!
Welcome to South by Southwest 2026. Thank you to our festival sponsors, Standard Deviant Brewing and The Tech We Want. In this episode, we're covering stories of women thriving against all odds. Thanks for Nothing and The Ascent, which won a South by Southwest Audience Award. In this episode, you'll be hearing from our honorary bitch, John Wildman from Films Gone Wild. Enjoy!
Welcome to South by Southwest 2026. We are Erin and Ange of the Bitch Talk podcast, joined by our honorary bitch, John Wildman, editor-in-chief of Films Gone Wild. In this segment, we're talking about Thanks for Nothing, which is having its North American premiere in the narrative feature category. We have two guests with us. I'm going to have you introduce yourselves. Let's start with our director.
I'm Stella Market, and I'm the director of the movie.
I'm Lea Drinder, and I play Katharina, which is one of the lead roles.
All right, great. Stella, can you introduce this film to our audience?
So Thanks for Nothing is about 4 friends. They live in a group home, like in a, I don't know how you say it, like a social home or like in a facility. And they all have their little like problem world. And one of them really wants to die because she doesn't want to grow up. That's why we call it a staying of age film. And so the other ones are trying to keep her from killing herself, and also trying to like hide the fact that she wants to die from the social services. And so that's why it's quite stressful for them. And it still is a funny movie, although it sounds very dramatic.
We had an opportunity to talk a little bit before we sat down for this, and I mentioned that I am a production design and graphic design freak when it comes to films. And one of the things I truly love about what you've done with the film is how you set up each one of these young women with their own specific personalities, even through the graphics and the titling of their names. And I would love for you to talk about how you went about that and the thought that was behind it.
Okay, so I think for me it was important. I mean, like girls' teenage bedrooms are very important because that's your space, and that's the only place in the world where you can be yourself and you express yourself. And these people, like, they live together without their parents, so they can, like, without rules, they can just like decorate their rooms whatever the way they like. And I had that freedom to like just think about what they watch, what they listen to, what they read, and then see, okay, what would their rooms look like. For example, Malou, or one of our characters, she doesn't speak, and she was born and raised in one of these like social homes. And in Germany, we have this thing where we paint walls green to calm people down in like administrative buildings. So we chose the color green for her because that's what she's used to. And obviously for Katharina, we chose blue because it's like she's very melancholic. And and then also we gave her a bunch of influences of like movies she could like she could like Virgin Suicides, for example. And then we like, threw a bunch of like stuff in there that resembles the style. And I think as a teenager, you're really influenced by so many different pop cultural things or media. And it was so great that through their rooms, I could reference the movies that I loved watching as a teenager. So, yes, everyone got their own color and their own world. kind of, and their own playlists and everything.
That kind of leads into my question about styling each of those main cast members. Was it kind of the same idea? Because they all each have an individual style, especially, is it Malou?
Yeah.
Yeah, she wears very specific things.
She does. Like, Malou wears stripes because I thought that was funny because I thought she could be like in jail, and all the other, when they're in this, like they go to this group home and all kids wear stripes, and I thought that was funny that she was just keep wearing stripes. Like a little like Easter egg in the movie. And not so many people noticed that all the kids wear stripes, but so she just keeps on doing that because that's her thing. And she definitely had different, like for the haircut also, we were like, okay, what could be her role models? And we thought like Matilda maybe, because she loves to read and I loved to read when I was a kid, and I loved this movie so much. And then also maybe Amélie Poulain or Matilda from Leon the Professional, and we thought this is like a great mix of like cool characters with bob cuts, so we gave her a bob cut as well. And this is how her style became what it is.
While this film does touch on heavy topics, obviously at its core, I just love the friendship aspect of it. And I kept going back to like, I love women friends, like a tight-knit group of girlfriends. There's nothing like it. I don't know how men are with each other, but it's not as cool as women, I think. And so can you talk about like what makes the bond as women so special and how you created that bond with your co-stars?
I think like a thing about like being a teenager and being a woman is that you go through so many changes and nobody really tells you what exactly it is that's happening to you. Or at least in Germany, I felt that I wasn't really educated enough about my body, about the changes that were gonna happen. And so you sort of needed other people that were going through the same thing to sort of check is it okay that I'm normal? Is it okay that one boob is bigger than the other? Why are my nipples hurting when I do this or that? And those sort of things that you can't talk or you don't want to talk to your parents about, because like just the worst thing to possibly like have to do. So that's sort of like it's, I don't even know if you could call it like a trauma bonding in a way, because you just don't know what's happening, and so you need your friends desperately to just like sort of figure things out. And I guess because we are like probably like just like so many emotional things are happening, and you sort of need somebody to give all those things to, and somebody to rationalize your emotions. And those are like, I think, the components that make, or at least my female friendships, like the way they are. And since we're all socialized in a very like similar manner, I think it was quite easy for us to understand the specific troubles and hints that Stella made in her script. So everybody sort of like knew like the inside. It was like a lot of inside jokes that you can probably only really understand as a female, but that when you explain them to boys or men, they can also sort of like get them. And
exactly what you say, but also I think teenagers in general, it's very hard because they're always struggle with being taken seriously by grown-ups, and so you have to kind of look for help in your friend group. Like I think so when I grew up, there was a lot of like terrible things happening around me, and I think much like more serious problems than even I have now. Like, for example, people trying to kill themselves, or drug abuse, or anorexia, or like stuff like this, and parents wouldn't really see that. In a weird way, they actually sometimes they didn't want to see that, they kind of said that it was based on like this longing for attention, and that was very interesting to me already as a teenager, because then it was my job to take care of my friends or call their parents if it got too serious or whatever. And so I formed very strong bonds very early, but also I learned kind of that my problems are not that important, which is so stupid to like teach that to young people, you know? And that's why I also wanted to make this movie. And I think like I have a very, very strong female friendship friends group. And it's interesting because sometimes I think I met them when I was like 13 or 14. We're still like best friends. They also have like a big credit in the movie. And the movie is very inspired by this French friends group. We had this like apartment of a friend of mine. She moved in there when she was 16, and we just like we would crash there all the time, and it was amazing to have this like playground and to be together, and we grew up together. We kind of also grew apart together, but we still, there's like this big unconditional love. Sometimes I wonder if we would meet today, like I would still love them, but like, or like even want to be friends with them, you know. But that's not the question, because we have such a sisterly bond that I would like fight to death for them. And I think it was important to me, because sometimes when I spoke to men about Thanks for Nothing, they were like, oh, but these like girls are like such assholes, but I can't really relate to them. Like they don't really speak to each other. And I'm like, that's so weird, because they're so caring and so like how you say empathic, you know, empathetic, yeah. Like they're very sensitive with each other, and they know their world. They accept each other the way they are, and that's really great for them. Also, it kind of keeps them stuck in their little world. Like nobody's challenging Malou to speak. Only when like somebody from the outside comes in, she's like, oh, maybe I should change that. But yeah, so I think that's like this like unconditional love moment that really happens in these like long friendship, female friendship like groups was important to me to talk about.
Let's talk about directing actors. Because actors get to that happy place for us as directors in different ways. Some, from the moment they open their mouth, they're ready to go. Some need like 9 takes before they warm up, before they even wake up. Some need you to whisper some sweet nothings in their ear to get to that place. And when you have scenes where you have multiple, actors, you have to manage all of them to get to that happy place in the same at the same time. Talk about that, and then Lee, I want you to talk about how it worked very well for you, whatever she was able to get out of you.
That's so interesting question to ask.
Yeah, because do you want to start?
I start in general with like the directing actors thing, because it is special working with an ensemble. I was so lucky because this is my first feature and only like the second movie I ever did. So. And this is my student graduation movie. So we were all students on this set, which was very nice because we were like 75% women also behind the camera. And it felt just very safe and calm, and everybody could relate. And also all the men were very nice and great. Obviously, I don't want to bash anybody. It was just amazing, but we like, obviously there was like female topics being like, whatever. So, and I had a bit of time before to speak to all of you, and we took like this one day where we sat outside. You remember that it was so hot, and we were in this backyard, and we kind of like drew this map.
It was like, the Hells Angels. Like,
it was
Hells Angels headquarters, like former headquarters.
Former headquarters, Berlin Hells Angels. That we had a costume department in there.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a funny anecdote. Yeah. So I had the chance to talk to all of them, but I was just very lucky because they're all very experienced actors already, and like Leah did a bunch of TV shows, also Sonia and Safi, and Zoe is like this crazy art house star in Spain. So, for me, it was just, I was very thankful and grateful that I didn't have to do like any, I don't know, continuity thinking or whatever. It's like they were so like professional, and we had such a tight shooting schedule that it was very necessary that it was like all most of the times only like 1 or 2 takes. It was really crazy. Like we didn't have this 9 takes warming up situation. That wasn't possible. It was a bit harder with the theater actors. Yeah. I mean, and we had, especially the grown-ups are theater actors, because I wanted them to be a bit more over the top, because I wanted like the view of the kids on them to be like more like characteristic. And these actors are really great. I love them so much, and I really enjoy theater a lot. And Kati Angera, Sophie Reuss, and also Jan Bülow, who played Balak. They're amazing theater actors. But theater is so different to film acting, and especially like continuity wise, or like also just not doing everything the same as the take before was hard sometimes to to manage, but also so great in the room because you're like, there's so much life and ideas, and it's amazing, and I love working this way. So yes, that was that, and you all were very different. You all needed very different things, and I feel like we managed. We had to find our way through it. I think for us it was interesting because you had another Katarina in mind than I did, and then when Leah first saw the movie, she was kind of like,
I didn't know that I was supposed to be the antagonist. The whole time while we were shooting, I was always like trying to be like sort of like, because like everything she does is like are so there's so many asshole moves that Katarina sort of pulls throughout the movie, and I was always trying to make her like a bit more sympathetic so that people would understand why she's the way she is, make her sort of more like funky rather
like
than just
child,
like
you know?
yeah, like more like spacey and not that like sort of like just like cut edge bitchy, you know, and so Selha always had to tell me, no, you should like do it like a bit more.
It was so funny. Like I gave her a note, and then I was like, because I got where you're coming from, because you could have played a character like this, but I needed it to be a commentary on female sadness, you know, and I needed it to be a commentary on this like tragic, I'm so mysterious, you know, and because that was what I grew up with and what I kind of wanted to like, didn't want to like do a parody of it, but I wanted to comment this like social obsession with sad virgins.
But without like a real like reason. She's just like, that's everything she is. She is just that performance, like that sadness, and that's where it like ends, sort of, or at least that's what I felt when I like was playing it. I always wanted it to give her a reason for it, you know. But sometimes the only reason was just to like just do it. That's it.
And like romanticize it also in a way, you know. And we think she's a lot of like, she's watching herself from the outside also, and I think that's like, it's almost like a performance, and it's, for me it was important to like pull this blanket away at some point, like, or when they ask her like, do you really want to die, and then this is like breaking kind of situation. But sometimes I would say something to you and you would like, okay.
No, it's hard for me. I don't know. I just
for me it was important that you like your character, so I didn't want to tell her that.
You didn't want to break the news.
Yeah, I didn't want to be like, you know, she is an asshole also. I mean, like, because and a lot of people in this movie are assholes. I love assholes also. Like, like I don't have a problem with like mean people. I think they have like a personality and a character, and they know what they want, and I love that. All my friends are assholes. But
that's your next movie.
Yeah, thank you for nothing. All my friends are assholes.
But for Katarina, it was very important to me that you get annoyed with her at some point, and then you get annoyed with her, and you're like, Jesus, it's basically such a power move to always threaten with your death. Because you have all the power if you are like this, you know, and all the people kind of have to. It's like a dictatorship.
No, a dictatorship.
A dictatorship.
Dictatorship. Like she's the dictator of this place, and all the people have to do what she says because she could snap, like, you know.
Well, and once you know that someone loves you, then you have that power.
Yeah, and she's testing it also. No? Yeah. And so, but still, you know, I don't think she's like evil. I don't think she like consciously makes these decisions. I didn't want to make her like, she's not a mean girl. She's just very like in her own world, and she doesn't really realize unless like, and then Gina comes to her and she's like, you know, now Ricky has to leave the country, and she's like, wow, I'm such an asshole.
But I think I had to like, my starting place had to be like a place of sympathy toward my character, because otherwise I would have just not played it realistically, probably, and you had to like sort of just like manage
to trick you.
Yeah, you did. And then when I watched it, I was like, Jesus, I thought she was a nice person, and now I watched this movie and I'm like, it was so like I felt really bad. Like,
no, you did a great job, but it works.
Sure, maybe.
You know, I mean, oftentimes like, you're talking about like, you know, a villain never thinks of themselves as a villain.
That
they think they're the hero.
That's why it
And not
worked.
that Katarina's a villain, but it's that same philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, in a like classic dramaturgical way, like drama, like storytelling, she is the villain of the ensemble, and that's why it's also interesting to get into the movie, because we start with the villain, and it's hard to connect to her because she has this like thing where she's on the platform, she's not really on the ground with us because we speak about her so much, not really to her, right? So some people had like a rough start to get to know them, and then you get to Ricky, and then you warm up a little, and then Vicky is a lot of fun, and then you get Malou, and she's so lovable, and then Katarina comes back, and she's like, fuck you all, I'm still here, I'm gonna kill myself again. So.
Well, unfortunately, we have to wrap, but we do end each segment with something we call This Bitch. So it's your chance to shine a light on someone or something that is bringing you joy, or throw shade at something that's pissing you off. So who is your This Bitch of the moment?
Oh, Jesus.
What's throw shade?
To throw some hate, someone that's pissing you off.
No, I don't want to do that.
No, me neither. I don't really think in those sort of like realms.
Okay,
I sort
then-
of like just people are they have both of it. And,
Yeah.
and it's
Everybody's an
okay.
asshole sometimes.
Everybody's an asshole and everybody's lovable somehow. Maybe not by me, and maybe not
Yeah.
by but
I like that. Everyone's a bitch.
Everyone's a bitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
So,
I'm like, who's
everyone's that bitch, and we throw shade on everyone.
That's such a perfect answer for this film, though, because, everyone is sometimes, great and sometimes an asshole. So.
Yeah, that's true. And you have to have love for everybody, and you have to try to understand them, kind of. It's important to understand.
And women friendships are the best. That's the end.
true.
This bitch is women.
Women
friendship.
friendships.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you
Thanks
so much.
so much. It was fun talking to you guys.
Welcome to South by Southwest 2026. We are Aaron and Ange of the Bitch Talk podcast, joined by our honorary bitch, John Wildman, editor-in-chief of Films Gone Wild. In this segment, we're going to talk about the Ascent, which is having its world premiere in the documentary feature competition. We're sitting down with 3 guests here. I'm going to have them introduce themselves to our audience. Let's start with our subject.
My name is Mandy Horvath.
Hi, I'm Ed. Hey, I'm Scott. Ed and I are the co-directors of the doc, along with Francis Cronin.
Okay, great. And I'll have one of our directors chime in here. Can you introduce the film to our audience?
Well, it's a documentary about Mandy's amazing journey climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the tallest peak in Africa, by crawling on her hands, because Mandy is a bilateral amputee who doesn't have legs from the knees down. And it was a 6-day, almost 50-mile climb. And she, I don't know, she maybe did it, maybe she didn't. You have to see the movie.
Okay. This is a film and that you're working on 2 very distinct fronts. One is just tracking the progress and hoping to God that Mandy's able to make it to the top of this on this big task. And the other is also tracing what led her and you guys to that point. I would love for you two to talk about striking that balance and to make sure that the film wasn't too heavily weighted either with the struggle, Mandy's struggle to it, or too heavily weighted on the past story. And then Mandy, after they talk a bunch about that, I would love you to then, after the fact, talk about your view on how they handled it, because this entire thing is the 2 journeys that you had, and oftentimes when you're a subject, you go, this part I was a little bit wary about talking about. This part I was kind of scared shitless about, and I don't know how the guys, how they teamed up. So you guys start.
So for those who don't know, the way Mandy lost her legs is a bit of a mystery that we explore in the doc. It was a really traumatic night for her, and it was key in why she's climbing in general. She, after losing her legs, went through a lot, and climbing was a way to sort of just, reclaim herself. And she started with really small challenges in the U.S. and then was challenged to do Killia, which is a world record. So we thought it was important for the audience to understand, who she is and why she's climbing. And And so there's kind of two parallel storylines where we explore the night of the incident and what you went through after, and kind of every time you come back to the mountain, the idea is hopefully you're more connected and understanding Mandy more, why she's doing it, and can root for her more. And the climb was one thing. There was one shoot that I think Mandy, still had to find a lot of trust in the team, but was really, more open about. And discussing that night of took, a couple years and making her feel safe and getting to the point where she can be vulnerable with us and talk about it. And we just wanted to make sure the balance was even and was intentional and not exploitive in any way. And then not that, it's one of these kind of crazy true crime projects that you might see that's a little more on the salacious end. Something's definitely elevated, and it was there because it was essential to the story and not for any other reasons.
And then, Mandy, how did you feel? Because there are different bravery comes in different forms, and both sides of this story, there's bravery.
I didn't. I knew going into this project that I didn't want a recreation of that exact moment of what happened, and I didn't want to be exploited. That was a fear of mine, and so it did take me a couple years to open up to the filmmakers about the depth of what I went through, and they treated it with care and respect throughout the process. I didn't really have any say in the edits of how everything turned out. I never originally wanted this to be a true crime documentary, but I can see from an audience perspective needing to understand from a different perspective who I am and why I'm climbing. So I think that they did a good job of bringing that balance of the climb and also the past and my why into the big picture.
Well, one important motivation for us was just trying to find Mandy answers, some kind of sense of justice, or validation for what she went through, because Mandy doesn't remember what happened that night, and there are a lot of kind of elements of a cover-up, and so we really were motivated to sort of just help her in this new chapter.
I wanted to talk about, the big theme here is trust, and we get to that towards the end. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there was trust with your parents, and to have them in the doc as interviewees, talking heads, however you want to put it. But I want to know from the filmmakers and from Mandy, how did that conversation go about bringing your parents in? Because it's a complicated relationship.
Well, I have a complicated relationship with my father anyway, but my parents really tried to shield me and protect me from some of what happened. I didn't even know a lot of my own story until I approached my parents, and that's part of what got this whole ball rolling. It was an exercise in trust, as you had mentioned, but I think it was also instrumental in the doc and the development of the true crime aspect of it.
Do the filmmakers feel the same way, or how was that conversation?
There was a lot of amazing stuff in those interviews that didn't make it in the cut, and we were really lucky that they agreed to do it. I think Mandy's mom especially found it very cathartic to talk about a lot of stuff from her past, as well as her past with raising Mandy, and we're just grateful that they participated, and I think it was essential to get just the POV of who Mandy is as a person, with people from her background, yeah. Mm-hmm. And also it was their experience too. They got this call in the middle of the night when it happened. They had to go see it in the hospital, so they're part of the story rather than just outside context characters that you might see in other docs. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mandy, I have to thank you. You taught me a new phrase, cooter crushers. I was going to ask for your permission. I want to start a band named Cooter Crushers, if that's all right with you. Okay, Great. Thank you. Okay, now on to my question. Erin and I climbed the Annapurna in Nepal, and I texted her right away, and I was like, I can't wait for you to watch this documentary because it was bringing back everything and such a beautiful, it's painful, it's beauty, it's everything, right? I love how you talk about nature, communicating with nature, asking for permission, But really, two of the heroes I want to talk about are your local guide, Whitey, and the porter, Moses. Our porters were just the kindest, gentlest people in the world. I still think about them to this day. This was in 2012 or whatever we did. But can you talk about all of the love that you received on that mountain that you weren't expecting, for sure?
It was a cultural thing. The people of Africa are just so incredible. Whitey, he became so close to me. We still talk. We still talk. But I remember I was climbing, I think it was day 2, but Whitey, he really watched me. And in moments where it was a little bit too much, he kind of took me under his wing and assured me and his Whitey way. So, yeah, I miss them so much.
Return trip.
Yeah.
Let's talk about filmmaking really quickly again. In terms of, they're just, you guys are not the first guys to take a camera up on a hike like this, on a big journey. So there, we know that difficulties with, or we've heard difficulties in filming in those situations. But there's a different degree of difficulty filming because our subject is at different levels as well in terms of, where our camera is going to be placed and what have you. So talk about, one, how you initially approached that, and then also how you guys maybe had to improvise once you're actually in the real mix and
invested
going,
in a back
this
brace.
isn't working.
Yeah, back brace. Medical instruments, yeah.
We always knew we wanted to show the world from Mandy's POV, and just to show how everything is a challenge, even small daily tasks, let alone climbing up the highest freestanding mountain in the world. And in order to do that, I teamed up with amazing cinematographer Laffery Whitbrod, and they were so adamant about just keeping it like the lens as wide as possible, just to also heighten that sense of awareness that Mandy has as well, where because of what happened, there is this she doesn't feel the trust for any environment that she's in. Her head is always on a swivel, and when you're down at looking up at the world like that, everything is formidable. So a lot of back pain later, carrying those, but it was so worth it.
A few chiropractor sessions.
Yeah. Well, it is amazing camera work. So.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, on the mountain it was a tricky little. Mandy's really fast when she's booking it, and we had to come up with a system to make sure that we were able to be both ahead and behind at the same time, but also reload. And I would be taking up the drone, waiting for them to pass, breaking it down, running up ahead.
And with a cigarette, I'm sorry, respect.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yes.
yeah.
Respect, are you kidding?
Whitey actually brought my cigarettes on Summit Day. Carol told me. He was like, no cigarettes on Summit Day, but Whitey snuck them in the pack for me. And I had a cigarette up on the world's tallest
to.
natural.
Also, I think if someone tells you no, you're going to do it anyway.
I know.
You're like, okay.
I
challenge
was
accepted.
respectful of his wishes, but Whitey had my back.
I mean,
I love
Mandy's
that.
tattoo, the mantra.
Yeah. Pole pole and Kazambele means slowly, slowly, and work ahead.
I mean, the one about somebody tells you no.
Oh, that one. Yeah, tattooed across my chest is tell me that I can't, and I'll show you that I can.
I know.
Erin sent me the crying emoji after she watched the doc.
Yeah,
Just so you know.
yeah.
Just watched it. Tears.
I do want to ask filmmakers here. I mean, we got to see Mandy's training, of course, but also the side note of Ange and I going to the Annapurna was we were also filming. But what was your training like going into Kilimanjaro? Because
Cigarettes,
ours,
or-
yes, cigarettes. But ours, I mean, like mine was, we live in San Francisco. I'm like, oh, I'll just walk the hill, streets of San Francisco.
Same difference.
I'll do this, and that's totally going to be the same as going the Annapurna.
Yeah,
and
you could
it
be the best
wasn't.
filmmer in the world, but at that altitude,
Yeah,
you never
all
know
of
what's
it.
going to take you down.
So what was your
Chick-fil-A
journey
cafe.
like?
Yeah. So,
Chick-fil-A.
Fried food and cigarettes? No.
yeah, trying to chain smoke up the side of the mountain was not a good choice, but we made it there in the end. I'd done some distance running in the past and thought I was way too overconfident. I was warned that much better funded, well-resourced teams had tried and failed to get cameras up onto the top of the mountain. And I was like, yeah, but they haven't met me. This mountain hasn't seen what I can do. And so Francis and I, we did a couple hikes but we did LA hikes. And
Right.
Runyon
Right.
is not going to...
Oh, are you kidding?
She was
People do
training
that
in
hike-
LA. Yes.
Yeah, people do that hike to take selfies. They
Yes.
don't do that hike for altitude. Yeah.
To be fair, we'd load up a pack, we'd put like 30 pounds in there, and we'd just walk up and down and talk about how we were going to shoot it and any problems that we were going to come up with. But we did that like 2 times. And we're like, we're good.
Yeah, sure.
Done.
Why not?
Moving on.
Mandy trained for over a year, right?
Yeah. I was training for
Totally
weighed
the
80
same.
pounds sopping wet during those
The
climbing days.
vulnerability it took in the edit for Ed to finally let us show him crashing out a little bit. We have to show how hard this is because Mandy makes it look easy. And he's like, all right, fine.
That's going to be in the DVD, right? Like the behind the scenes featurette. Well, unfortunately, we have to wrap, but we do end each segment with something called This Bitch. So this is your chance to either shine a light on someone that is bringing you joy or throw shade on someone that's pissing you off. So which one of you would like to start and let us know who your This Bitch of the moment is?
Mandy, do we have enough time to...
Oh, goodness, no. Somebody that I'm really, I look up to right now is Ileana Meher, rugby player. She does a lot of stuff out in the public, but I think she was just in Sports Illustrated. She's an incredible athlete, and I love listening to her speak. So,
Thank you.
You guys helping us share the word about the film. Honestly, this man here, we wouldn't be here without Scott coming in.
This is all the time.
You have to say this bitch, Scott, though.
Yeah.
This bitch, Scott.
And then we're going to take that clip and we're going to be like,
That's-
directors fight during our interview.
No, it was quite a journey up the edit. The mountain was the easiest part of making this film, and if it wasn't for Scott's experience, I mean, Amy nominated producer here, but yeah, my beautiful fiance, definitely being there with a kind word every now and then. When I'm like, I'm just going to delete the hard drives. This is impossible. This is what's going on. And the cat Squish, who I never thought that I would end up with a cat in my life. And this little thing is just, it's her house. I just live in it.
Well, these two, Mandy and Ed, these bitches, because we're here for that, because of them. I mean, Mandy's journey obviously is incredible, and Ed just never gave up and has been pushing this thing since day one and putting everything he has into it. And I think, Claudette Godfrey, who is the head programmer at South by, and she's just a force. We were just so happy and honored to be a part of the festival, but just seeing everything she does from like the events leading up to it to her social media, she's running around and like that. Like she impresses me as well. Like it's just the multitasking she does.
Someone's going to get invited back.
We'll send it to her.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, we've been speaking with our co-directors and the subject of the film, The Ascent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on today's show. You can find more information about this episode in our show notes.
If you're missing us, you can visit us at bitchtalkpodcast.com to sign up for our newsletter and buy us a cup of coffee.
Did you know we're also on the radio? You can find us at bff.fm.
And lastly, rate and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. All the cool bitches are doing it.